Emperor Nox watched with malicious glee as the Ventaxian armada rained hell down on the human colonies, the pathetic insects' death wails echoing over the comms. Humanity would regret defying the Galactic Council's demands of submission. He would make sure of that personally. The Ventaxian fleet swept through human space like a hot knife through butter. Their superior technology honed over millennia turned against their hapless victims. Worlds burned and millions died. The Council's ultimatum now enforced through unrelenting, merciless destruction. The Earth Federation's fleets rushed out to meet the invaders, but it was a futile endeavor. Outnumbered and outgunned, the human ships were swatted from the sky like gnats, the wreckage of once mighty battleships left drifting amongst the corpses of the crews that manned them. With humanity's outer defenses crumbling, the Ventaxians pushed inwards, setting their hungry eyes on the ultimate prize, Earth itself. In a matter of months, the homeworld would fall and the human race would be extinguished forever. Yet in the chaos of the onslaught, a glimmer of hope emerged. On Earth, a classified file buried deep in the Federation archives was uncovered by Captain Terry Sullivan. The file spoke of an ancient human fleet of immense power, hidden away long ago. A fleet that could turn the tide against the Ventaxians. Convincing the Earth leadership to take one last desperate gamble, Sullivan now races to solve the mystery of this lost fleet's location. The activation codes are the key. Without them, the ships are useless. And he is not alone in this hunt. Traitors lurk within the Federation, determined to stop him. Sullivan quickly recruits a crack team, a brilliant xenoarchaeologist to make sense of the scant clues, a hotshot pilot to get them where they need to go, and a vengeful Marine sergeant to watch their backs. Together, this ragtag band of brothers and sisters in arms must unravel the secrets of the past to save humanity's future. But time is their greatest enemy now. With every day, the Ventaxians push closer to the heart of human space. Even if Sullivan's team prevails and the lost fleet is found, there are no guarantees this ancient technology can match the Ventaxians' might. The price of failure is extinction. The price of victory may be no less costly. The race was on. Terry Sullivan threw the controls of the ship forward as they burned through the atmosphere of Novaria. The ruins of the pre-Ventaxian war research facility loomed below, a dilapidated maze of collapsed walls and jagged metal reaching toward the sky. "I'm picking up Ventaxian signals near the entrance," Lieutenant Davis said from his station. "A scouting party. Looks like we're not the only ones interested in this place." Terry glanced at his team. Dr. Lana Chen, her eyes sharp and determined. Lieutenant Jake Maverick Davis, hands dancing across the controls. And in the back, Shint Ava Ramirez checking her weapons, preparing for the worst. They set the ship down in the shadow of a crumbling tower, the engines whining as they cooled. Terry was the first one out, his boots crunching on the rocky ground. "We need to stay low and quiet," he said. "The Ventaxians can't know we're here." The team moved as one, creeping through the rubble, ducking under collapsed beams. The facility had been ravaged by time and war, but there were still signs of the advanced research that had once taken place here. Dr. Chen paused at a half-buried console, brushing away the dirt. "I think I can access the mainframe from here," she whispered. "If the data we need is still intact." Her fingers flew across the ancient keys. Terry and the others kept watch, weapons raised, scanning for any sign of movement. "I've got something," Dr. Chen said after a tense minute. "Fragments of encrypted data. It's mentioning a hidden vault, and what could be coordinates." "Can you decrypt it?" Terry asked. Dr. Chen shook her head. "Not without a decryption device specific to this facility's systems. We need to find it." A sudden burst of static from their comms made them all jump. Lieutenant Davis adjusted the frequency, his face grim. "It's a transmission from the Ventaxian command ship," he said. "Emperor Nox is ordering the deployment of a new weapon, something called the Novanix Dreadnought. It has the power to destroy entire planets." Terry felt a chill run down his spine. The stakes had just gotten even higher. Another burst of static, this time from Earth channels. Admiral Vance Carlisle, one of the Earth Federation's most respected leaders, had just been exposed as a Ventaxian spy. Chaos was erupting at the heart of humanity's last defense. "We need to move fast," Terry said. "Split up, search for that decryption device, stay in radio contact." They began to fan out among the ruins, picking their way through the debris. Terry rounded a corner and found himself face to face with a squad of Ventaxian soldiers led by a tall figure in black armor. Commander Zoran. Shots rang out, energy beams scorching the stones. Terry dove for cover, his team scattering. He saw Ramirez go down, a crimson stain spreading across her uniform. "Man down," Davis shouted over the comms. "Ramirez is hit." Terry gritted his teeth, firing back at the Ventaxians. They were pinned down, outnumbered. "Chan Davis, can you reach Ramirez?" "Negative," came Davis's reply, punctuated by the whine of his weapon. "We're cut off." Terry closed his eyes for a split second, his mind racing. Save Ramirez or push on for the decryption device that could save all of humanity? There was no time for indecision. The mission had to come first, even at the cost of their own. "Hold position," Terry ordered. "I'm going to flank them. Try to draw their fire. Be ready to move on my signal." He took a deep breath, preparing to leap once more into the fray, the weight of billions of lives resting on his shoulders. Terry's heart pounded as he made the call. "Ramirez, we have to leave you here. We'll come back for you, I swear." Ava's face contorted with pain, but she nodded. "Go. Save humanity. I'll hold out." They stashed her in a hidden alcove, leaving her with supplies and a comlink. Terry's team pushed deeper into the ruins, following Dr. Chen's lead through twisting corridors. Ventaxian voices echoed nearby. Terry signaled a halt, pressing against a crumbling wall. A patrol passed inches away, oblivious to their presence. After tense minutes of cat and mouse, they reached a sealed chamber. Dr. Chen's eyes lit up as she examined the device inside. "This is it, the decryption unit we need." But her excitement faded as she inspected it closer. "It's damaged. We need a special power source." Terry's mind raced. "Wait, the Ventaxians. They're mining energy crystals on that moon base." "Are you suggesting we infiltrate it?" Lieutenant Davis asked incredulously. Terry nodded grimly. "It's our only shot." Hours later, they approached the Ventaxian moon in a stolen shuttle. Lieutenant Davis's expert piloting kept them undetected as they landed in shadow. "I'll provide air support," Davis said. "You two get that crystal." Terry and Dr. Chen crept through the facility. Alarms blared as they neared the extraction chamber. "Intruder alert. All units converge on Sector 7. They sprinted the final stretch, Terry laying down cover fire as Dr. Chen grabbed the glowing crystal. "We've got it, Davis. Where's our extraction?" Static crackled. "Pinned down by Ventaxian fighters. Can't reach you." Ventaxian troops closed in from all sides. Terry and Chen pressed their backs against a wall, weapons raised. Suddenly, the far wall exploded inward. A Ventaxian dropship hovered beyond the breach, its hatch open. Ava Ramirez grinned from the pilot's seat. "Need a lift?" They dove aboard as Ventaxian fire peppered the hull. Ramirez punched it, leaving the moon base in chaos. Back on Novaria, Dr. Chen connected the crystal to the decryption device. Data streamed across the screen. "I've got it!" she exclaimed. "The fleet is hidden in the Cygnus Nebula." Before they could celebrate, an explosion rocked the facility. Commander Zoran's voice boomed outside. "Surrender, humans! You're surrounded!" Terry turned to Leighton Davis. "Get those coordinates to Earth. We'll buy you time." As Davis slipped away, Terry, Chen, and Ramirez took up defensive positions. Ventaxian troops poured in, led by Zoran himself. The humans fought desperately, but were slowly pushed back. Terry watched in horror as Zoran raised his weapon for a killing blow. A blinding light filled the sky. Massive ships unlike anything Terry had ever seen descended from the clouds. Their weapons lanced out, vaporizing Ventaxian forces. A voice crackled over all frequencies. "This is Admiral Katrina Irons of the First Fleet. Stand down, Ventaxians. You're outmatched." In the stunned silence that followed, Terry allowed himself a moment of hope. The tide had turned. But as reports came in of the vast armada waiting in the nebula, he knew the real battle was just beginning. Humanity now had a fighting chance against Emperor Nox, but the cost would be steep. The ancient human fleet burst into existence above Earth, a sight that took Terry's breath away. Massive ships, sleek and angular, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. They dwarfed the Ventaxian forces, their weapons systems humming with power beyond anything humanity had seen before. Admiral Katrina Iron's voice crackled over the comms, strong and commanding. "All Earth forces, this is Admiral Irons. The cavalry has arrived. Let's show these Ventaxian bastards what humanity can do." The counterattack was swift and merciless. Ancient dreadnoughts unleashed salvos that tore through Ventaxian ships easily. Terry watched from the bridge of his vessel as the enemy fleet scattered, their formations breaking under the onslaught. "We're hitting their supply lines," Lieutenant Davis reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. "Their ability to resupply and rearm is crumbling." Terry nodded, his mind already racing ahead. "We need to push our advantage. Admiral Irons, I volunteer to lead a strike team. We can use one of the ancient ships to slip past their defenses, hit their shipyards directly." There was a moment of silence before Irons replied. "Approved, Captain Sullivan. Choose your team wisely. This could turn the tide of the war." As Terry prepared for the mission, alarms blared across the fleet. A massive Ventaxian ship had appeared on long-range sensors, unlike anything they'd encountered before. "The Novanix Dreadnought," Irons' voice was grim. "Emperor Nox's ultimate weapon. It's heading straight for Earth." Terry's blood ran cold. They had mere hours before the planet killer reached firing range. A direct assault would be suicide. Admiral Irons' plan was audacious. Infiltrate the Dreadnought, disable it from within. Terry, Maverick, and Ramirez volunteered without hesitation. Their ship, cloaked and silent, slipped past the Dreadnought's outer defenses. They docked undetected, hearts pounding as they stepped onto enemy territory. "Maverick, get to the engine room," Terry whispered. "Ava and I will handle the bridge. Stay in contact." They split up, moving through the vast ship's corridors. Terry and Ava encountered their first group of Ventaxian guards, dropping them with precise shots before they could raise the alarm. Meanwhile, Maverick crept through maintenance tunnels, avoiding patrols by mere inches. He reached the massive engine core, its pulsing energy filling the chamber. On the way to the bridge, Terry and Ava found themselves pinned down by elite Ventaxian troops. Energy bolts sizzled past their heads as they returned fire. "We're running out of time," Ava shouted over the din of battle. They fought their way forward, leaving a trail of Ventaxian bodies in their wake. Finally, they reached the bridge. Commander Zoran stood waiting, his black armor gleaming. "Sullivan," Zoran's voice dripped with contempt, "I've been expecting you." Terry charged, tackling Zoran to the ground. They grappled fiercely, neither giving quarter. "You fool," Zoran hissed. "You don't even know what you are, do you? Your connection to that fleet, the truth about your past." Before Terry could process Zoran's words, alarms blared. Maverick had succeeded. The ship's core was overloading. "Time to go!" Ava yelled, dragging Terry away from Zoran. They ran, dodging panicking Ventaxians, barely making it to their ship as the Dreadnought began to tear itself apart. The explosion lit up space, a new star born from the death of a superweapon. In the aftermath, as the fleet regrouped, Terry sat alone, Zoran's words echoing in his mind. What truth had the Ventaxian commander known? What was his connection to the ancient fleet? He had no time to dwell on it. Admiral Irons' voice came over the comms once more. "All ships prepare for jump. We're taking the fight to the Ventaxian homeworld. This ends now." Terry steeled himself, pushing aside his doubts. Whatever secrets lay in his past, the future of humanity hung in the balance. It was time to end this war, once and for all. The ancient human fleet burst into existence above the Ventaxian homeworld, a sight that took Terry's breath away. Massive ships, sleek and angular, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. They dwarfed the Ventaxian forces, their weapon systems humming with power beyond anything humanity had seen before. Admiral Katrina Iron's voice crackled over the comms, strong and commanding. "All ships, this is Admiral Irons. We've reached the heart of the Ventaxian Empire. Let's end this war once and for all." The sky above the Ventaxian capital erupted into chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed space. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. Terry watched from the bridge of his vessel as the human fleet engaged the enemy. Suddenly, a massive shadow loomed over the battlefield. A planetoid-sized warship emerged from behind the Ventaxian moon, its surface dripping with weaponry. "By the stars," Lieutenant Davis breathed. "What is that thing?" Before anyone could respond, a blinding beam of energy lanced out from the behemoth. It sliced through an entire wing of human ships, vaporizing them instantly. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Admiral Irons shouted. "That's Emperor Nox's trump card. The Vengeance." Terry's mind raced. They needed a plan, fast. As if reading his thoughts, Admiral Irons' voice came through again. "Sullivan, I need your team for a critical mission. We're going to create an opening for you to board that monstrosity." Terry nodded grimly. "Understood, Admiral. We're ready." As the human fleet launched a full assault on the Vengeance, Terry and his team boarded a stealth craft piloted by Maverick. They weaved through the chaos of battle, debris and energy blasts narrowly missing them. "Approaching the Vengeance's docking bay," Maverick reported, his hands steady on the controls. "Brace for impact." Their craft slammed into the docking bay, skidding across the floor in a shower of sparks. Terry, Lana, and Ava leapt out, weapons at the ready. "Lana, head for the command deck," Terry ordered. "Ava and I will take out the reactor core. Maverick, guard our exit." They split up, racing through the cavernous corridors of the Vengeance. Terry and Ava encountered their first group of Ventaxian guards, dropping them with precise shots before they could raise the alarm. As they fought their way deeper into the ship, Terry couldn't shake Zoran's words from his mind. What was his connection to the ancient fleet? He pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the mission at hand. Meanwhile, Lana crept through the upper levels, her heart pounding as she neared the command deck. As the doors slid open, she froze. There, in the center of the room, stood Emperor Nox himself. Nox turned, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly energy. "Ah, the humans send their best. How unpredictable." Lana raised her weapon, but Nox merely laughed. "Your primitive toys cannot harm me, child. I am power incarnate." As Nox monologued, Lana's fingers flew across a nearby console, initiating her hacking sequence. She just needed to buy more time. Deep in the bowels of the Vengeance, Terry and Ava reached the reactor core. A shimmering force field blocked their path. "We need to deactivate that field," Terry said, scanning for a control panel. Suddenly, Commander Zoran's voice boomed through the chamber. "Sullivan! Your journey ends here!" A hail of energy bolts forced Terry and Ava into cover. Ventaxian troops poured into the room, led by Zoran himself. "Terry, go!" Ava shouted, returning fire. "I'll hold them off!" Terry hesitated, but Ava's fierce gaze brooked no argument. He sprinted for the control panel as Ava unleashed a barrage of covering fire. As Terry worked to deactivate the force field, he heard Ava cry out in pain. He turned to see her fall, struck by Zoran's weapon. "Ava!" Terry screamed, but there was no response. The force field flickered and died. With a roar of anguish, Terry charged forward, planting the antimatter charges on the reactor core. Zoran's troops closed in, but it was too late. The reactor began to destabilize, alarms blaring throughout the ship. Terry fought his way back to the upper levels, his heart heavy with the loss of Ava. He reached the command deck just as Lana succeeded in disabling the Vengeance's main weapon. But their victory was short-lived. Emperor Nox unleashed a psychic attack that sent Lana crumpling to the ground. Terry knew what he had to do. He opened a channel to Maverick. "I'm setting our dreadnought to collide with the Vengeance. Get Lana out of here." "Terry, no," Maverick protested. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," Terry said softly. "It's been an honor serving with you both. Now go." As Maverick dragged a semi-conscious Lana to their escape craft, Terry input the final commands. The ancient dreadnought began its final approach, aiming for the Vengeance's wounded core. Terry closed his eyes, thinking of Earth, of humanity, of the mysterious connection he shared with this ancient technology. As the dreadnought collided with the Vengeance, a blinding light engulfed everything. The resulting explosion consumed the Ventaxian capital in a cascade of dark matter energy. When the light faded, the Vengeance, Emperor Nox, and the heart of the Ventaxian Empire were no more. In the aftermath, as the human fleet regrouped, Lana and Maverick stood on the bridge of Admiral Iron's flagship. They watched as the remnants of the Ventaxian forces surrendered, the war finally over. Admiral Irons approached them, her face solemn. "Your teammates' sacrifice will never be forgotten. They saved us all." As the Admiral spoke, a technician hurried over with a data pad. "Admiral, you need to see this. We've decrypted some of the ancient fleet's data banks." Irons studied the information, her eyes widening. This changes everything we thought we knew." She turned to Lana and Maverick. "The fleet, it wasn't built by humans at all. It was created by an advanced precursor race, one that seeded their technology on Earth long ago." Lana and Maverick exchanged stunned glances. The revelation opened up a universe of questions about humanity's true origins and place in the cosmos. "We need answers," Lana said, her voice firm. "For Terry, for Ava, for all of us." Maverick nodded. "Where do we start?" Admiral Irons handed them the data pad. "This is just the beginning. There's a whole galaxy out there, waiting to be explored. Are you ready for a new mission?" Lana and Maverick stood tall, ready to carry on the legacy of their fallen comrades and unravel the mysteries that lay ahead. The war was over, but their journey was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.